have approximately 10 minutes, for any questions, and I will like to open up the floor for questions not only to Ricardo, but also to Bruno and Hans about their particular presentations, but anything around this topic. So, I would appreciate if you can introduce yourself. I know you asked questions.
Couple questions. Yeah, I'm Mr. Ronovar again from
Thank you.
The United States. From the law enforcement perspective, have you been successful with actually prosecuting individuals that have been detected and caught doing cyber crimes in Europe? And has Europol been a big part of that?
Yes. What I can say is I don't want to be pretentious, but we are a bit a victim of our success. We have coordinated quite a lot of operations so far in Europe, and we had initiated also large action days recently. For example, I can take the example of Operation Archimedes, where we coordinated not only cyber operations but drugs, arm trafficking, dismantling, property theft, stolen vehicle. So we had a complete week of actions where all the police forces in Europe, but also with our partners, we decided to join forces to do a one event attack on dismantling of crime. To come back also what I said before, we try to come up with the idea of bringing bigger and bigger cases. The capability of Europol is, of course, to cross-check information between cases. So usually what happens is member states send information to Europol. They are stored on databases, and you have some cross-check. So if you have an operation between two countries, let's say UK and France, and another operation between 3 countries, Italy, Greece, and Bulgaria, and you find a link, telephone number, license plate, whatever link, the power of Europol is say, because we were going to receive an alert, we're going to talk to the 2 different cases, say, listen, we have a hit between the 2. Do you want to make a bigger case? Usually it's the case, they want to do it. And in this case, we try to dismantle bigger organization. So the bigger the case is, the higher the chance you dismantle the top level of the organization. So that's actually what we try to do.
Any other questions?
Sorry, Chris Mann from Digital Barriers. I was just wondering, you're talking about using H2020 for getting tools built. Wouldn't it not be better to have like a commission basis? You said you save 700 million euros from being stolen because intercepting it. In terms of incentivizing private industry, it'd be better to give them 20% of what they save, for example, because the numbers are so big. You laugh, but actually in the UK, Through Vision supply body screening equipment, and the agency that uses it, who collect money off people trying to take it out of the country, are allowed to keep half of the money that they collect. And hence, it does incentivize greatly the agencies and also industry to build those tools you need.
Any other question? Because any other question? Because I think that was more of a statement. I can say about the Horizon 2020 with my previous experience in the Commission is that this is, an research program. It is more on the future than on today, and it deals with academia and businesses, of course, and the purpose of it is a little bit different, but obviously people have to think a little bit smart on this matter. So any other person? Yes?
Well, I would like to ask one question, Mr. Hans, your permission.
Yes.
Thanks. As the chief of the unit of cyber in the Netherlands, how do you protect the simple person in the Netherlands who, let's say, he's building a new startup and he is hijacked by a cyber attack? and he feel it, and he knows it, and he goes to the police, to a simple station, and he remark a claim, and then he say, how can you protect me? Or how your unit is protecting the simple person on the street? That's what I want to ask. How do you act?
It's a very, I'm not sure whether it works. Yeah, it's a very good question. It's very difficult to protect the single person within the Netherlands. That's an honest statement. Our National Cybersecurity Center focuses on government and vital infrastructures, and we have coalitions with ISPs and other organizations to help other areas. Let's say within the education area, we have a CERT organization, and we have the KPN CERT who does a lot of things, and we have a good cooperation with the police. But that it's almost impossible to help that single individual, giving him the protection that he would like to have at the moment. That's an honest statement.
Thank you. But your agency is having any support from the government, I assume. And the money from the government come from the people. So if I give you the money, why do I don't get protection?
Okay. We are an organization of 80 people big. We have 17 million within the Netherlands. So how do you think that small sum can fix the protection of everyone? What we do try is to make the different organizations within the municipalities, the provinces, the state organizations, to get everything as correctly protecting as possible. So we do work together with data centers, trying to get good organizational structures within so that mishap is lessened. We work together with all kinds of organizations, explaining, training, and helping them to get a higher percentage. But it is impossible to do what you ask.
Thank you.
Any other
But Bruno can help.
Yes. No, I guess here you have two flips of the coin. Of course, government have to play a role, but an individual business has to be aware of the risk and to take actions to be sure that he has done everything.
You receive this information if it's a client, and if it's good for the Europol, so you investigate. If not, you're not investigating.
No, but I mean, for if I'm an individual business, I need to be sure that I did everything to avoid to be hacked. And then on the other side, the government, usually national security or cybersecurity agencies, they work on a policy level which applies to the mass, not specifically maybe to certain person in particular. So it's a bit a conflicting thing. We try to implement things that works for most of the people, and of course they will always have incidents.
Thank you.
Just a further remark on that. I think the challenges are, of course, very sophisticated attacks where no individual can do something. But for many problems of individuals, what you are addressing, it is simply a lack of knowledge and or a lack of setting the right priorities for your business to protect yourself with the measures which are there. So often it is so it's a question maybe more of also education and awareness building to make really businesses and people more aware of what they can do to protect themselves.
I completely agree. But one of the things that we find out is that we really have to educate the boardroom that the choices they make between making profit or making cybersecurity is sometimes a trade-off, and they sometimes make big mistakes on that. And we find out that they complain about DDoS attacks, but they have not done anything within their contracts to make sure that there is some protection against it. And it's not a, let's say, government-wide protection scheme to eliminate DDoS attacks. There is not such a thing. So there is certainly your own actions as a company, small or big, to make sure that you've done everything that is possible, and we try to add up with that.
Yeah. If I may come to your rescue for something specific, CYBERPOL is in the process at the moment to propose in a new statute that is busy with that a cyber victims unit has to be formed, because it hasn't been done anywhere. And as to far now, there is no country. It is actually in the process, already been proposed. It's in the process. It's going to Justice Department as we're talking, and this is an absolute necessity that it has to happen across Europe, with the integration of other law enforcement across Europe. And that is a solution. The biggest problem is funding of that. That's a real deal. But we think we have found good direction of getting public-private partnership funding for that particular aspect. And I think that is a very important part to understand. So it's not there's nothing's been done. There's a lot been done. It's just not talked about yet, and it's not really public as a whole. But there is definitely changes happening so far I'm concerned.
Excellent.
Just to conclude, of course, ENISA is here. You go to the website. You have really a lot of information how to secure yourself today.
Thank you, Bruno. This was an excellent marketing. The last statement or question, please.
Yeah, it came up in the IT roundtable yesterday in terms of talking to the board and the board just not accepting the risk or dealing with the risk or not even aware of the risk. So is the material or work being done to better inform the board of the risk and how they can manage it?
Within the Netherlands, we started we call it the Cybersecurity Council, which is a top-level meeting room where government, industry, and science are working together. And we have top executives in that board, like Eelco Blok from KPN. They found out the hard way that cybersecurity is really, in essence, and now they're really top gun. They're really doing a great job on that. And there are a lot of other organizations like Shell and Tenet from industry who are in that board and really help out, making sure, because they talk to their peers and their colleagues, telling them that this is really in earnest and that's something that has to be done. And this board has direct influence to our government. They can give questioned and unquestioned advice to our government how to act on cybersecurity. So it's a multi-level playing field. It's really successful that we find out, because a lot of other boardrooms are trying to connect and find out how to deal with this big issue.
It's better we close it here because it can continue. So I think our panel here deserves a big applause. So this is